right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today we are tackling something that I know a lot of you have been asking about, and that's stroke prevention.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we found a really interesting, concise guide that we're going to sort of base this whole discussion around today. And it's called, appropriately enough, How to Prevent Stroke. So, obviously stroke is a very serious topic, but we're not going to get all doom and gloom about it today. What we want to do is kind of look at this like we're building a strong defense for a soccer team or something.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at kind of multiple strategies that all work together to keep that goal safe.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to stroke, what are some of those kind of big foundational things that this guide really emphasizes?
Well, it starts with, I guess the big three that everybody knows about: blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol.
Right. But the guide really emphasizes that those aren't just important. They're
the bedrock.
They're the bedrock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously high blood pressure in particular
is the biggest
risk factor.
By far. But why?
Well, because when you have high blood pressure, it's like constantly putting extra stress on your blood vessels.
Right.
So it increases the chances of a rupture or a clot. And, we know that high blood pressure can lead to a lot of other issues as well.
Oh, yeah.
But, but when it comes to stroke, it's really, really one of the most significant factors.
Right. And I thought it was really interesting that, besides those kind of big three players that we always hear about, the guide also mentions like what it calls silent threats.
Oh, right.
Like carotid artery disease.
Yeah, carotid artery disease.
Which maybe a lot of people aren't as familiar with.
No.
So can you talk a little bit about that? What is it? Why is it dangerous?
Yeah. So carotid artery disease, think of it like this. Think of your carotid arteries as the major highways delivering blood to your brain.
Carotid artery disease is like a traffic jam building up in those highways, restricting blood flow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so the scary part about this one is you often don't have any symptoms until it's too late and a stroke occurs. Right. And that's why regular checkups are vital, especially if you have any risk factors. So if you're concerned, talk to your doctor. A simple ultrasound can detect this. And there are effective treatments, from medication to surgery.
Okay.
So it's not something to be overly concerned about, but it's something to definitely be aware of.
Right. So it's like getting regular maintenance checks on your car.
Exactly.
Yeah. You might not see a problem, but catching it early can prevent a major breakdown later on.
All right. So we've got this like foundation, keeping those big players in check.
Right.
But what about kind of active steps we can take? Yeah. Things that are more within our control.
Right.
Like, I'm thinking lifestyle changes here.
And, I'm always a little skeptical when, advice just boils down to, eat your veggies.
Right.
It's really going to make that much of a difference. But the guide actually goes into some pretty interesting specifics.
It does.
So what are some of the biggies when it comes to lifestyle and stroke prevention?
Well, I think the first thing, we've got to talk about quitting smoking, right? Quitting smoking is one of the most important things you can do to reduce your risk of stroke.
Okay.
And it's not just about lung health, right? Smoking directly damages your blood vessels. It thickens the blood, making clots more likely, and it even reduces the amount of oxygen your brain receives.
Wow.
So it's a triple whammy.
So it really is a major player.
Absolutely.
Okay, so quitting smoking, for sure. Now, what about healthy weight and exercise? I feel like everyone already knows that that's good for you.
They do.
But what makes it so crucial, specifically for stroke prevention?
Well, you're right. Those are common recommendations, but they're not just good advice. They're really game changers.
Okay.
Because think about it. Excess weight puts you at higher risk for all of those foundational issues we just talked about.
Yeah.
High blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease.
Right.
And then exercise. Well, exercise is like magic for your blood vessels.
Okay.
It strengthens your heart, it improves blood flow, and it helps regulate both blood pressure and blood sugar.
Okay.
So it's like hitting all the right notes for a healthier cardiovascular system.
Okay. Magic might be a bit of an oversell, but
maybe.
But I get the point. It's about creating a positive ripple effect throughout your body. Now, speaking of healthy habits, this is something that I thought was really cool that the guide really dives into.
Yeah.
The power of specific diets.
Yes.
So it doesn't just say, eat healthy. It names names. It talks about the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet.
Right.
And this isn't just trendy foodie stuff, right? There's solid research behind this.
Absolutely.
So what is it about these specific diets that really seems to move the needle when it comes to stroke prevention?
Well, for instance, one study found that people who closely followed the Mediterranean diet had a 20% lower risk of stroke.
Wow.
That's pretty compelling.
20%. Okay, now you've got my attention.
Right. And the reason, the Mediterranean diet is all about those delicious heart-healthy fats, fresh produce and whole grains. Think colorful plates, lots of olive oil, fish, nuts, vibrant vegetables. It's delicious.
Yeah.
The DAS diet, on the other hand, is like a blueprint for beating high blood pressure. So less salt, more potassium-rich foods. Think about things like bananas, sweet potatoes, even dark chocolate.
All right, now you're talking. Delicious and effective.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now on to a topic that I think is very relevant for a lot of us these days, and that is stress.
Yeah.
And the guide actually highlights stress management as something that's really important for stroke prevention, which honestly sometimes gets overlooked in these conversations about health.
It does.
And, I feel like everything is stressful these days. I mean, I even, tried that meditation thing that the guide suggests, but let's just say my cat was more zen than I was.
Right.
But seriously, how does stress actually increase your risk of stroke?
Well, it's not just a feeling, right? Chronic stress has a real physiological impact. When you're constantly stressed, your body's in that fight or flight mode, and it's pumping out hormones that raise your blood pressure and heart rate.
Okay.
And over time, that takes a toll on your blood vessels, making them more susceptible to damage, which can lead to a stroke.
So it's not just about, feeling better. It's about protecting your physical health, too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the guide suggests meditation, deep breathing exercises, even finding hobbies you enjoy. I mean, it sounds almost too simple, but is that really all it takes?
Well, it might sound simple, but those techniques are really powerful because they activate your body's relaxation response, which counteracts the harmful effects of stress. And the beauty is, finding healthy ways to manage stress doesn't just benefit your heart. It improves your sleep, your mood, your overall well-being.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
I like that. Win-win. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground, managing those key risk factors, making positive lifestyle changes, even tackling stress.
Right.
But there's one final point that I think the guide really emphasizes, and that's about being prepared.
Yeah.
Just in case a stroke does happen.
Absolutely.
And it's all about acting fast.
Right.
So why is that so important? Why is acting quickly so crucial when it comes to stroke?
Well, a stroke is a time-sensitive condition, right? The faster someone receives treatment, the better their chances of recovery.
Okay.
So recognizing those signs early on and calling emergency services immediately can literally make a world of difference.
And that's where the acronym FAST comes in.
Right.
Can you just quickly remind us what that stands for?
Of course. So F is for face drooping. Does one side of the face droop or feel numb? A is for arm weakness. Can the person raise both arms evenly? S is for speech difficulty. Is their speech slurred or hard to understand? And T is for time to call emergency services. So if you observe any of those signs, even if they're temporary, call 911 right away.
Okay. So every minute counts.
Every minute counts.
That's a powerful reminder. All right. So we've really unpacked a lot today. I mean, we've gone from understanding those foundational elements of stroke prevention, like managing your blood pressure and cholesterol, to exploring the impact of lifestyle changes, and even delving into the importance of stress management and quick action in case of emergency.
Yeah. And it all really does come back to that soccer analogy we were talking about at the beginning, right?
Yep.
A strong defense involves multiple layers of strategy.
Right.
So, what we've done today is really give you a toolkit full of evidence-based strategies to build your own personalized defense against stroke.
And remember, knowledge is power.
Yes.
So what resonated with you today? What's one small change you can make starting today to reduce your risk?
Well, maybe it's swapping out that sugary soda for a glass of water, or trying out a new Mediterranean-inspired recipe, or just taking a few minutes each day to breathe deeply and de-stress. Every little step really does count.
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, take action. Until next time, stay curious and stay well.
Stay well.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.